Hey, you chickadees. I'm Lay Rooster, and you're in the hen house. We're looking at New World, the hot new MMORPG that's coming out from Amazon Games and is about to go live this coming Tuesday, September 28th, all over the world. And I'm excited. I've been playing it in the alpha and the various betas and played hundreds of hours in it and really had a lot of fun with it. So I've got some earlier videos and all that, but one of the things that people were looking for is a condensed version, some quick tips for getting started and some things to be aware of. So that's what this video is going to be and is going to kind of cover for you. So some quick stuff about New World, particularly if you haven't played it or haven't played it very much, and just some things to look out for and be aware of as we get about getting started. So thanks for being here and watching the video. Make sure you stay tuned for all the tips as we go through them, and let's go from there. So one of the nice things about the New World game is you can really play it how you want to. It is made, you can level up doing quests like usual. You can get leveling up through harvesting, through crafting, through killing mobs and different things like that. Some other dungeons and things later, but in the beginning, you're going to benefit from doing all these abilities, so you can play the way you want to. If you have a play style that leans towards crafting or questing or mob farming, then you can have some fun. There are things, of course, that you have to do. You have to do certain quests to advance storylines or to get certain things, but you really have a lot of flexibility that you don't have in many games. So that's a good thing. Another thing to be aware of is up through your first under 20 level 20, you get respecking for free, and you can respec over and over again. So that gives you an option to change your character style, to change your build, and really modify it as you start to play the game and figure out what you do. So when you start out, you may not like what you're doing, or you may not like what you thought you were going to do as you get a little later, but you can respec freely without worry about that. So you can build that into how you're checking out your build and making things work. So that also that means when we're talking about in this game, which this game has no classes, so it's all about your two weapon combination and how you put those points and your stats. It's another important thing to know, but and that applies to that respec. So when you're playing early on, you could decide to dump a lot of points into Constitution so that you have a big health pool and are very survivable in the early stat. And that's one option, and then you can change it out. And it's also important to think about you may be using some weapons that are not the weapons you want to, particularly if we're talking about casters. And I'm going to talk about that in just in the next tip. But if you aren't, you can actually stat to make those things work. And the weapons that you're using now work to help you until you're ready to use another one. But we want to talk about that. So here the video here is from the closed beta, so it's not the newest piece, but it does have my fire and ice build that I was playing around and some special tips for casters we want to talk about. If you're trying to be a self-sufficient harvester and crafter, which is something the way I like to play, be aware as a caster, you're not going to be able to craft the initial fire staff or the life staff or the ice gauntlet in the very beginning, because you have to really build up a lot of requisite skills and gathering to be able to do that. So you may get lucky and get a random drop of what you need, or get some in some of the earlier quests. But it also makes some sense to buy your starting weapons so that you have the things, because you need to be able to use them to level them up and get your skills in as a caster. So that's just an important thing. And again, in the beginning, you really don't need to waste money on better weapons, because you're going to be out leveling them quickly. But when you don't have the weapon to start building up the skills, even to just farm on some basic mobs, then you're kind of holding again. I think in one of my builds, in one of my playthroughs, I was waiting to either be able to craft one of the magic weapons I was looking for, or to get it through a random drop, and I was level 20 before I got, I think, the fire staff, which is ridiculous. So you can have some bad luck with that. But you can buy it for like 5 gold on the boards, buying a cheap one, and then go kill some pigs, and you start building up, and eventually you'll either be able to craft one to replace it, buy a better one, or you'll get a good drop that you can use. So be aware of that. Even if you're a self-sustaining harvester crafter. All right, so that's not where you want to do it. Now that brings me into the next section, which is about gathering and crafting. I mentioned I like to do a lot of gathering and crafting. Gathering and crafting are very important. This game originally started out as a survival PvP MMO. Think something kind of like Valheim, but with PvP and everything. And so your gathering skills and your crafting is very important. There are no vendors in the game to sell things to or to buy things from. Everything you're going to get is from the player economy. So other crafters are going to do it, or if you're going to need, you either need to make the things that you want for yourself, you need to get your friends to make them, and usually you're going to want to give them resources, or you're going to have to buy them from other people who have crafted. And you can turn this to your advantage as well for making money and buying the other things that you do want. When you're starting, you're going to be on the beach no matter which starter zone because they're all a bunch of beaches and all that. There's different things. One, flint is around and you're going to just want to pick it up. Flint is really abundant on every beach. And there are quests and things where you're going to want it and need to turn it in. So you might as well just pick up a lot. That is one of the things. When you're on that beach area in the beginning, you want to do a lot of gathering of some of the stuff that you're going to need that's going to help you out. It's going to help you with some of the initial quests when you finally get into town, which doesn't take long. And you can beeline it, but then you're going to end up having to go back and gather and do some stuff. So get your flint. Flint's also going to be used to make arrowheads. So either you're going to want it or someone else is going to want it, and that means selling it and making some quick coin. All right, so herbs. I want to talk about herbs. You're going to see herbs. They look a lot like basically lavender herbs, really, but you'll get it's hyssop. It's all kinds of things. Um, with that, that's particularly with harvesting that you do with the sickle. And important to know about that one is you're going to want to harvest those herbs. One, they can help with potions, they can help with food. But even if you don't care about that, and even if you're not looking to sell them, you're later on, you're going to need, there are basically magic, I call them magic mushrooms. They have different motes for the life staff, for the fire staff, and for the ice gauntlet. And you need those magic things that you harvest through your gathering with the sickle. So you're going to want to just gather as many herbs as you can because you're going to want that. And later on, you'll be able to get hemp and the other things. But you really need to get that gathering skill up so that when you run across the magic mushrooms, as I call them, then you'll be able to get them because those are things that even if you don't care about them, someone in your alliance will want them, or you're going to be making bank by selling those types of things because people are going to want them and you're going to need them later on for some dungeons and things like that. So they're going to be really valuable. But it sucks when you're there and you find something and you could get it, but you don't have your skill high enough. So that's something to think about. The same thing is going to happen um, with your mining and your ore. Ore, you're going to need a lot of ore for a lot of stuff. Ore and hemp. Hemp is used for weaving, turns into linen, your cloth armor, or into your heavier armors, things like that. So, but hemp and ore are going to be needed by everyone for various things and for various quests. However, they're rather hard to find, except where they're rather easy to find. And so, what I mean by that is depending on your starter level and the areas that you've explored, there may be a good amount of ore or hemp that you can get and start get a good stockpile going for crafting and for turning in for quests and things like that. But in other places, it's going to be pretty sparse, and maybe there's only a few nodes, or you have to go further into higher level and face more hostiles before you're ready. So it really can depend. So you want to be ready to get those things, but that's why if you gather those herbs, that's going to help you for when you do find the hemp and you can get it quickly. And of course, the different higher tiers that are not called hemp, but like silk and stuff like that. Same thing with ore. You want to be ready to get the ore, and if you wait for just ore, you're not going to be able to build up your mining skill quickly. But the boulders are around. Boulders are usually not wanted by anyone. I mean, they are because they give you stone, and that comes into play later. But you could do stone cutting and build that up as a skill. However, if you build up on the boulders, then you'll be pretty high, and obviously, of course, you can be quicker when with your skills on your ore. But additionally, you'll unlock your ability to mine the silver and gold that you'll only find, and those are usually highly contested. So you're going to want those, and you're going to need your skills. Just like the magic mushrooms, you're going to need to raise your skill up to be able to get them. And there are things like magic mushrooms that I call magic rocks. I keep it consistent here on the channel. That are going to have some of those same essence motes, like the life motes and things like that, but you mine it. So you need your mining and your gathering with the sickle skills to be up, so you can get those precious pieces that you're going to want to sell, to use, or to share with friends. So that's part of it. Also, when you're looking at things, whether it be trees, whether it be boulders, or hemp, things like that, your the size of the node does have an indication of the yield. So you might see, usually you're not going to see just one mound of ore or hemp or something. You're going to see several bushes, and one or two of them are going to be kind of visually bigger. Those are the ones that are going to give you more yield than the small ones. So it's not just that they look different. Same thing, bigger mound of ore is bigger than the smaller pile of ore. I mean, that makes some sense, but you don't always think about it. If people are all running to it, and you're kind of competing for a resource, which is bound to be happening early on in the game, go for the biggest pile first. That may be the only one you get, but you get a better yield. Somebody else will get a smaller one. So there's a tip for you as well. Also, when it comes to gems, you can use your gems to socket them into making jewelry as part of the crafting thing. However, you don't want to waste your gems. All right. The basic smallest gems that have to be cut can be combined later into a bigger gem that'll be better in jewelry that you may want to use later on as you go. So I would save those gems for that step. You'll know once you see there and get in there, or sell them. Sell them to make bank to people who are trying to do that. Because in order to build up your jewelry, you're also going to need that silver and gold, and you can make silver and gold jewelry parts in order to build up that if you can farm that. But again, get your mining up and have a good plan. All right. Also, particularly if you're doing a lot of there may be a lot of mining and harvesting runs going on there. Okay, when you start filling up your bags, this game has encumbrance. You get overweight, can't move, can't teleport. You're going to have to drop things or drop it on the ground, and you've spent all that time harvesting and that kind of thing. When you're in a town, you can refine. When you refine like that ore into ore ingots, that's going to reduce the weight on you. So that's something. So obviously, we're going to talk about storage as we talk about the town. But no, if you're making a multi-town run, which is something that I like to do, you may not want to dump things in your bank, depending on which town you're in. And we're going to talk about it. So moving into the towns. All right, one thing, the storage. You've got a couple storage sheds in every town that's available, and the storage is town specific. So if you dump some stuff in the storage shed in Windsward, it's going to stay in Windsward when you're in Everfall. And so not everyone realizes that. You can see where stuff is through looking through a menu, but if you put all that stuff, you're going to have to run back and get it. There is a way, if your faction controls both place territories at the same time, to pay some coin to have it moved over. But again, a little bit of planning saves you that trouble. So that's one of them. Also, if you're a crafter or you're working the marketplace in the town, particular town, because also the marketplace in the towns are town specific. So what you sell in Windsward is not for sale in Everfall, and vice versa. And the prices can be quite different. It may be cheaper in another town, or you may be able to make more money in a particular town with certain items. And you can look at the boards remotely to find that out. So that's another tip. But also, think about the towns you're in, and is this a town I'm going to be crafting in or trying to hold my stockpiles for selling? So those are the places where you want to put the stuff so that you can get it and put it on the boards. So if you are a crafter, there's going to be a lot of little drops that you get from chests and drops from as loot from killing mobs that are like little trinkets that apply perks and stuff that apply to crafting and crafting items. So you need those in whatever town's bank you're planning to craft with them. Otherwise, you got to run over there and get it to do that. So keep that stuff in mind. All right. Also, something in town, a lot of people miss this. As you're running around, you're going to see little blue glowy pages in towns, just scattered around, really not hard to find. You'll see one in an inn or in a bar or a tavern, or just on a crate near some NPCs, things like that. They're blue and they're glowing. You want to pick those up. It tells you story and lore. So if you want to, you can read that from your journal, and that can be a nice way to get involved. But very importantly, it gives you a decent little pip of free XP. So pick up every little blue piece you can because you're just turning. You want to. It's just going to help you level up quickly, and you want to do that especially in the beginning, so you have some points to spend and start getting your build going. All right. So now, also, when you're in the town, you've got that town board. Town board's going to give you the what we call the town board quests. So, and those can vary. That can be go kill a whole bunch of pirates, or go kill a bunch of wolves in this particular town area, or it can be harvest and turn in a whole bunch of hemp, or green wood, or refined lumber, things like that. So that applies to the crafters, the harvesters, the mob hunters, etc. And those are important. Sometimes it's kill rabbits, kill wolves, that kind of thing. So you want to be working that. Now there are quests that are hard and take a lot of time. So there's things like wanting turn in 10 or 20 or 50 fish oil. If you're not fishing, you ain't going to get that fish oil unless you're buying it. Now, point, you could be selling it if you have it, but if you're not a fisherman, you're not going to waste your time. You can take that one and then cancel it, and then when the board refreshes later on and 30 minutes later, you can then see if you get something better. So that'll be good. But there are things in all the towns. Now, it's not every town has this, but every town has some free water and some free honey, and several of the starter towns have a cow that you can milk for free milk. It's like every hour you can pull these things. So these things, you may be tempted to ignore them, but go ahead and pull them every time they're available. Put them in that town's bank, um, unless you're using them, because again, they're going to be available in pretty much every town. So you can build up some in your storage so that they're there. Water can be part of healing and food source for you. Honey goes into food, milk goes into food, so you can make food with these things. But also you're going to get periodic town board quests that want you to turn in 20 honey. And if you've been saving up some of the honey over time, you can just pull it. You just turn it in. And so that's free XP. Boom. Same thing. There's like one where you have to turn in like 250 pieces of water, buckets, of water. If you've been, just got it there, when that quest comes up, you're ready to turn it in and you just get quick advancement. So it's good for that. It's good for making potions, things like that. So, don't neglect those things. They're there. Also, important to see, there's some areas you can work multiple towns and multiple town boards simultaneously. Some people are going to do this, some people are not. So you can set up kind of running between towns that are easy. Everfall to Monarch's Bluff is actually a pretty easy run, and so you can do that. You can be harvesting along a pattern as you start to know where some of the deposits are, and pick up the town board quest. So you can see here going on there, and then know, okay, I'm going to be on the lookout for rabbits while I go on this road. And then you may get the rabbits that you need and you can turn them in. So you'll have quests and you can look at them later in your journal from whatever town. And a lot of times I'll go around picking up things. I'll refine in the towns as long as the tax for the refining is not too high. So I keep my weight down. And then I'll be looking at where I'm ready to turn in and start working my way towards those. And so you're just continually turning in things, farming and harvesting, and of course going back when you need to, using like your in recall or a house once you'll have that later, in order to deposit the stuff that you want to keep in one of your main bank or crafting areas. So working that can really be helpful. So consider doing that. Also, talking about like selling in towns. All right. So you can sell the ingredients you gather to those who want to craft. All right. Now, again, I talked about picking up flint on the beach. It's all over. And a lot of times it's clumped together in like 3, 5, or 6 little pieces, and they're real close. You stand in the middle, you hit the E button a few times, and it just gets them all really quickly. So you can get a lot of them. You may have a town board quest. You will have a town board quest at some point to turn in the flint. So that's helpful for that XP. But you can also use it to make those arrowheads that people may want. A lot of people don't want to run around picking up flint. If you can spend a little bit of time, and it's not a lot, just picking up a good chunk of that stuff, then you might be able to sell it, because people who want to not harvest but do want to craft will be willing to buy. And so you can make that. Now, other things like actually crafting the arrows or crafting the cartridges which that one's fun because you need the gunpowder, and that's a little special subject in another video. But people are going to be looking to buy that because they may not be able to find the ingredients, or if you have the saltpeter, which is the kind of the secret ingredient or the hard to find ingredient that you need for making gunpowder, then you can sell that. You may be able to make more money. See if you can make more money selling the saltpeter or the cartridge, and then sell the one that's going to do you better. So look at that. Also, when you have, you're going to get a bunch of items. You're going to get drops. You're going to get weapons that you don't want. Your gray uncommon items. You're just that you don't want. You're not going to want to sell them for the most part. You just want to salvage them. You're going to get a little bit of gold, a little bit of repair parts for repairing the things you need. Magic items, especially early on in the game as we go live and all that. A magic staff or something that's pretty good for low level that you don't need. Probably something to put on the board. You might be able to sell it cheaply, but make you more than you would get out of like salvage parts and things like that. Just like I said earlier, as a caster, I'm probably going to be looking to the board and just try to buy something kind of cheap on the magic staff to get going if I need it. And other people are going to be doing the same thing. So be thinking about how you can sell that and how you can leverage that. Same thing goes for things like that fish oil. I said, don't take those quests unless you're fishing, but people may be looking for it and it may be quite profitable. You'll have to see if it's more profitable to sell it or to turn it in for XP if you're finding yourself with those things. So, all right, well, those are just a few points about doing that. I hope you liked this video and found it helpful. Anyway, I'll be streaming this on Twitch as well as making YouTube content and doing some live streaming on YouTube as well with New World. So I hope you'll check me out on Twitch. I am Lay_Rooster, and here I am, Lay Rooster here. So I hope you'll give us a thumbs up and like this video. Hit the notification bell so that you get the next cut of that. And the next videos that we do, as well as leave a comment. If you like the video and leave a comment saying, hey, it really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and that helps boost this channel, which I appreciate. So thanks. Look forward to seeing you in game and perhaps on live streams on Twitch and YouTube. So I hope to see you in both places, and y'all take care and cock-a-doodle-doo.